Welcome along. This is going to be a very, very interesting race. It's all downhill, which is very unusual. No real testing climbs. There's a couple of little lumps, maybe one right at the beginning, but a couple of little lumps near the end. But they might facilitate an attack, but nothing too daunting for any of the riders. But of course, many of these riders will have done Chase the Yellow last night. Who's got the legs left? That was a very, very interesting race, and I'm sure you've heard all about it. But meanwhile, let's have a look at our course tonight, and we'll talk some more about Chase the Yellow later. As I say, this is the Hambledon Hurdles. It starts up in Stokenchurch in Buckinghamshire, and the main road, you can see that it's sort of following it there. It's the motorway, the M40, or the route highway, and then it suddenly turns, goes downhill, and through Chitty Chitty Bang Bang land, where they filmed that film, if you're old enough to remember it. And it's pretty much all downhill to Hambledon Lock there. So as I say, you can see the profile in the bottom left of that. Pretty much downhill all the way. A couple of little sort of small little lumps at the end. I mean, you can hardly see them on the profile, but they are there. So as I say, it's not going to be too testing, but who's going to be affected? I mean, looking at the riders, who out of those guys was riding last night? I know Aston McAlpine was. I'm pretty sure James Melville was as well. So this is going to be very, very interesting. So it's Jan van Oudenhout and Alison McAlpine are really battling this out at the top. If any of them misses a race, then the guys just behind, Rob Miller, Craig Jones, James Melville, will all want to jump in their place. And if you look there, James Melville and Alison McAlpine were they both ride for Glasgow United, who top the teams. Meanwhile, looking at the ladies' teams, it's West London and three West London ladies at the top, Maria Vitsky, Eileen Davidson and Jessica Wright. I'm just being told that yesterday, I think Rob Miller was riding Chase the Yellow. James Melville definitely was. I'm not quite sure who else. I'm pretty sure most of those did. So anyway, anybody that didn't might have fresher legs than these guys, but remember, it's a downhill race. So it might be a tough week for those doing both competitions, but let's see how this plays out. And there we go. As always, fast and furious off the front. There is something of a little bit of a bump coming up. You can see in the profile there, a little sort of brown bit in a short while. But that's really the only thing to note, apart from those two little bumps at the end, where I'm looking at the profile at the bottom of the screen, in case you're wondering what I'm talking about. And there's no surprise there, is there? Straight out on the front, we see those light blue jerseys of the R3R guys. So R3R Speedwagon if they've got an orange or red helmet, R3R normal if they've got a black helmet. So just so you can distinguish which R3R riders. And if Richard Riak's riding, he often has a sky blue jersey, but isn't an R3R. It's not Richard Riak, it's Richard Ackers, but he rides under the name Riak. And he has a sky blue jersey, but it's another R3R rider that we see coming up in sky blue jersey, Tim King Tubby. Love him because he's got the name of a famous reggae producer. And anyway, those two off the front. Snaver for R3R is off the front with King Tubby. Stuart Thorne I see up in their third and fourth. I was literally talking to him on WhatsApp moments ago because we're all going off to the Etape du Tour on an early morning plane on Friday morning. And so guess what? A lot of us are packing our bikes in bike boxes. Great to see Stuart up there. He's in fine form. Don't forget, Stuart, if you race too hard in this, you're not going to get up those mountains out there in France. A little bit of a gap appearing in there. Got Thacker in that front group. Certainly in that group. Sorry, this is a secondary group now, isn't it? I think there's been a bit of a split. But got Thacker up there as well. He's coming on the trip with us. So don't burn yourselves out, guys. Anyway, looking back, 18. I see Jurgen van Beurs there in 17th. Really felt sorry for his brother last night, one of the victims of the RGT servers not really being up to the capacity crowd. That's a Clays off the front group. What's going on? That can't be right. I'm sure Wouter will be back on that soon in 19th. As I say, this is an unusual race because a lot of it's downhill, but you can see they're halfway towards that first bump. Wouter Clays closing down the gap, getting back on there, marching 20th, probably going to do the same. And he's going to come up just behind Top Jimmy, who's another West London rider from Uxbridge. Jimmy just falling off the group there, I think, unfortunately. Is Marchie going to get back on? Probably. This is a bit, as I say, this is unusual because this one is so much downhill that you know your whole riding is. Top Jimmy is actually James. Well, I suppose you knew that because Jim's short for James. I don't know his second name, but I know he works and lives in Uxbridge. Anyway, so Jurgen van Ber's in the race. I don't see Mark van Ber's in there, but he had a horrible dropout. I passed him last night in the Chase the Yellow race, and I don't think he got back in because I spoke to him afterwards on social media, and I didn't get the impression he finished. Matt Feely up there in ninth. Nice to see Matt. Haven't seen him for a little while. From Ireland, of course. Alistair McAlpine up there. All the big names in this little group. Yep, Snaver for R3R, Johan Olofsson, James Melville, Rob Miller, Alistair McAlpine, Craig Jones. I can see in there. So a decent lineup for the players you'd expect to be in there, and a couple that are probably delighted to be in there. I certainly think Gautam and Stu will be. If I can't see Stu in there at the moment. Grant Webb and Daniel from Acer are the leaders in the group behind, and you can see it's quite a big gap there. We're in Jurgen van Ber's. They're now 90 metres clear of 19th position. So this group now is well away, and you can see 19th Marchie, Top Jimmy falling off that group. Now I don't think this is I think this is a natural phenomenon. Certainly when I race, like last night when I got the dropout, I was in two minds. Do I drop back and get into a group? And you see Top Jimmy and Marchie now got the opportunity to get in this group, but it's splintering itself as Daniel goes off the front in 18th. Thomas Alsop in that group. I haven't seen him for a while, and that's great to see him back. But I certainly, if I get dropped, will go back sometimes and get in another group. And I had that dilemma last night when I sort of found myself in no man's land and decided to chase, but that was unusual. You often go back into the group, and I think Top Jimmy would do well to sit in that group with Marchie and all the rest of it. Johan Olofsson, as we go to the front, is leading the pack. Johan and James Melville, both known for going off the front, as is Rob Miller and some of the other R3R guys. The other R3R team always seem to be together, are very well coordinated, aren't they? Jan van Oudenaarde from No Pins, he's in there. I say No Pins, it's still R3R. No Pins, those wonderful skin suits, don't they, with when the number goes inside a little window on your back. But all the usual names up there. Vinje Holton up there from Norway. Who else have we got? King Tubby. Carl Dickerson from Sands in there. Gautam Thacker at 11th. He'll be delighted if he can hold this one up. 11th with that. He's just ahead of Vinje Holton at the moment. So this pack certainly are going to be the leaders. I wonder what's going to happen. They're all over that little hump as well. As we go back, 26th, Eileen Davidson, who's probably the hot favourite for the ladies' competition. She's currently in second place, but the ladies' competition, of course, is your best 6 races, and she hasn't ridden anywhere near 6, whereas Maria Vitsky ahead of her has done more than 6. It doesn't matter if you do more than 6, it'll just take your best rides. She was just behind Santos as well. Must give him a mention because I was riding with him when I got my dropout last night and chased the yellow, and he was one of the guys that I think if it'd been another 3K, I would have actually caught back up again. But I lost about 5 minutes or something trying to get back in, and never quite caught him. But he was just very much on my radar because he was one of the targets to try and catch up again with when I dropped out. Brett Smith in this little group with Castellet and Darren, the Englishman. Brett, I think, rode last night in TTT, in the OTR TTT competition. So even some of those. Egger, I've got a feeling might have been in, I'm pretty sure was in Chase the Yellow last night. So there's a lot of riders here who've ridden last night and are coming out at the same time. Harry Smith's I see in there. He was definitely in Chase the Yellow last night. 35th, Migu Canada. I don't think I saw him in it. Serrano, I don't remember. So yeah, probably about half the riders here on their second race running. And of course, we don't know. They might have ridden in TTTs for other teams. Rick van der Laan, great to see him from the Netherlands. Gilmore giving us a nice little wave there. Isn't it nice when they give us the wave on screen and everything else like that? Rob Gilmore there. the Englishman in the blue and yellow, just behind Rick van der Laan. And going back, who else have we got there? Serrano Castellar, about 37. Maria Vitsky in 33rd. She'll be quite happy if she can finish a little bit up there. She's currently leading the ladies competition, like I said, but she isn't. She's probably not the favourite to win it because of the having ridden more races. Did I see it 38? This is Carmen Fung. Now, Carmen, I think I'm right in saying, is probably riding her very first RGT Wahoo race. Harry Smits there. We love Harry, a Netherlander with a great sense of humour, very dry. Has been one of the guys I always love it when he makes a comment on social media. Migu Canada in the red as usual, and plowing away at 35, a bit on his own. 152 metres ahead of Serrano though, and I think have we lost some riders? I don't know. Carmen Fung doesn't seem to be there anymore, because I particularly wanted to give her a mention because I think that was her first ever race. Never mind. She was 38th a minute ago. And Menzel looks like he's stuck on the starting line. So anyway, 37 left in the race, we shall say. So Carcelle is now in last place because Carmen seems to have disappeared. So what's happening at the front then? Let's see how it's all panning out. They're just coming up to a little bit of an incline here, plus 2.5%. Alistair McAlpine giving it that push, seeing if he can break that group on this little ascent. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the big blue triangle. That's Alistair McAlpine, and the white blobs are other groups of riders. Now you can see that was quite a bunch before, but this has stretched it right out, and you'll see this will fragment. And I think there's a gap in the middle. We can see probably about. I'm just trying to gauge where I think that is. I mean, it's probably ninth position is probably it's Stevie Cooper in ninth. Is if he gets back on that, I think that's where the split is. So we're down to 9 for the race. So there'll be 2. The main peloton split into 2. Stevie Cooper just fine to get on. I can see 2 of his teammates up there, Alistair McAlpine and James Melville. They're all in the GCN kit. They're Glasgow United. The orange there that he just caught up with, Ratio Racing. And that's Ingmar van Beurs, who was... sorry, it's Jurgen van Beurs. Sorry, I keep begging your pardon. They are brothers. So Jurgen van Beurs is there. Well, there's a split appearing here between 8th and... I wonder if the R3R rider, King Tubby, is deliberately not chasing to get those 2 off the group for his teammates. I mean, who knows? We will never know. I mean, they're probably speaking to each other on Discord, but there's an extra split here, and that takes it just down to 9. Well, I'd say 9 riders. It's 9 riders. King Tubby there drifting off that group as well. They're going down the inside of the bends. It is advantageous to take the inside with this steering. This has really split up now. Rob Miller way off this front group. It's Wouter Claes. Well, you wouldn't put it past Wouter to make a move like that, would you? This is the descent, and look at the gradients, ridiculously high gradients. They're going ridiculously fast. Just go under the purple halfway banner. And the descent has caused a big fracture in this. Johan Olofsson, a few others. And you can see how it's just got down into very small groups. Jurgen van Beurs, Stevie Cooper here, and Rob Miller now off the back of that group. And that just leaves 6 in that front group. Alistair McAlpine leading the series, in Jan van Oudenhout in second place. So the 2 main protagonists are in that front group. Stevie Cooper is working hard though, and maybe when they get to the bottom of this descent, just maybe they've got it in them to make the junction. But I don't know. It's very, very close, isn't it? So as ever, we see R3R jerseys in the front, 2 of them. Then we've got Jep Snaver and Jan van Oudenhout. Wouter Claes for Moon Riders out on the front. James Melville and Alistair McAlpine for Glasgow United. And the last person, of course, is Johan Olofsson. So just we've got a front group of 6 riders, and we've only got 4 clubs, I suppose. So there's 4 teams in those 6 riders. Now we're getting a bigger group forming now. There's an amalgamation of what would have been the second and third groups, I think, here. And we see again plenty of R3R riders. Rob Miller at the front at the moment, and he's got teammates in there. Sorry, back to Wouter Clays now. So it's the front group. So Rob Miller, this is the front group. Rob Miller isn't in the first group. Sorry, I do beg your pardon. So James Melville, and actually this front group has amalgamated into 9, hasn't it? Sorry, I'm not watching this properly. So the 6 have been caught by the next group, haven't they? So that's Group 1 amalgamating, not Group 2, I should have said. Sorry. So Stevie Cooper back on. So Glasgow United with 3 riders in there, and R3R with 3 riders, although split over the 2 teams. 1 from R3R Speedwagon and 2 from R3R Regular. We've got, who else we've got? Johan Olofsson, who's off the front at the moment, is from Sands, South Africa, New Zealand. They're South Africans living in New Zealand, as the name suggests. Jurgen van Beurds for Ratio Racing, and both Van Beurds are in there, aren't they? It's Ingmar and Jurgen are both there. Carl Dickerson for Sands in 11th place. So Sands doing quite well in this race. But this is the second group, Ingmar van Beurds and Carl Dickerson, who you just mentioned, 10th and 11th. So it's 9 up the front. It was only a short split for that front group, but this second group now, led by Carl Dickerson and Ingmar van Beurds. He's probably got fresher legs because of his dropout last night, I would somewhat tongue-in-cheek. Craig Jones in there, 13th place, the Welshman chasing. Nobody really sort of kind of working together here. This is a flat-out chase, 6 kilometres to go. As I say, it's downhill, so you're not really saving a lot. But just look on the course. Towards the end, there's 2, this is the bottom on the profile, there's 2 sort of orangey-red sections where there's sort of short, sharp little ramps. And they are designed either to catch riders out or facilitate attacks. When I say designed, I didn't actually sort of go down there and sort of build those into the real road myself, of course, but they were, of course, part of the thinking into why this particular descent might work. Jan van Oudenaarde, the man in second place now for R3R, and I don't think he's going to shake off Alistair McAlpine, but it will always be good for him if he can get riders in between him and Alistair on the finishing line. Now, Glasgow United have finished 2nd and 3rd in the last 2 races. I don't think they particularly mind, but I'm sure they would love a win all the same. It's going to be harder out of this group. So just looking at the route again, it starts up in Stokenchurch there, goes along parallel to the M40 motorway heading towards London, is the direction they're going. And then all of a sudden it swings off and just goes down this valley to Hambledon, almost to the River Thames. And as I say, it's quite a few film locations along that little valley. I don't know what the valley's called, but it certainly ends up at Hambledon Mill. Anyway, Wouter Clays off the front again, Johan Olofsson. It's quite interesting that although the sort of riders that light up races are in this group, aren't they? Rob Miller, James Melville, Wouter Clays. These are sort of riders that go off the front and shake up a race. They've got this top 9 now have got over 300 metres on the next group, so I don't think there's any doubt that the winners are coming out of this group. 4.4 kilometres to go. Group 2 is not going to catch, currently led by King Tubby, and Carl Dickerson, Craig Jones, King Tubby, and they've got about 150 metres on the next group behind them, which has got Stuart Thorne at the front at the moment, and see Yngve Holton in there. Matt Feely in this group. Gurton Thacker will be very pleased to be in that group as well. And I think these are going to be good points and places for these riders. I think they'll be happy with that. It is part of the thinking about the way we constructed. Rob Miller is off that group. It's gone down to 6 by the looks of things, or maybe even 5. Sorry, 4. So 4. Johan Olofsson's off that as well. So that's there's been a big split up the front while we've been looking further back. But just to explain the thing further back, I mean, it's part of the philosophy of this race and this design that we don't categorise the riders, so that what happens is you get the opportunity to try and stay in the front group as long as you can, and if that's a test and a challenge that you want to take up, you can. I mean, you may know that you're not going to stay in it for all the race, but it's a challenge to see how long you can stay, and you get better and better. Equally, we don't get the situation where good riders are sort of dropping down to a lower ranking, to lower categorisation, just to win races. What will happen in these is that the natural selection, you'll find yourself in a group of people like you, and you will be racing at the sprint line with people like you, and it'll be a natural selection, not an artificial one. Rob Miller looks like he's going to claw that back, and he's got Jurgen van Beurs on his wheel. Somebody pulling out to the right there, and they're all using the steering, aren't they? You can see them going across the road just to make sure in the right position for each of these bends, and it does make a difference if you go around the bend on the inside. Jurgen van Beurs and Rob Miller have got themselves back, although it's a very fragmented and strung out group. And with 2.8 kilometres to go, I think people are just seeing to see if they can thin this out for the sprint. And it looks like Bob and Jurgen, all they've achieved is getting onto a group with Johan, because it looks like another split. And I don't know that Jurgen and Rob are going to have enough left to catch up with this front four now. Two Glasgow United riders in there, Wouter Claes and Jan van Oudenhout for R3R. So we've got the two series leaders in there. Wouter Claes, previously twice champion of these series, an absolute ace in all of this. And, and of course, James Melville, who's been riding in these races, in these series, since as long as I can remember. Not quite at the very beginning, but one of the longest serving riders in this. And the winner's going to come out of this group. And it's interesting, as I say, I think I've got a feeling Wouter Claes will probably just unleash with around maybe a kilometre to go, maybe a bit less. But I can see Wouter just going for this one. Now, the riders he's got around him are all people capable of doing that themselves. So it's going to be down to who's got the best legs. James likes to go early, but I don't think Wouter will let him get away. I think Rob Miller and Jurgen and Johan have probably reached the point where they realise they're not going to make that gap up in the last 1.8 kilometres. As we swing around the bend, it's best to go around on the inside if you can. They're all the right side of the road, not too much ground lost there. It does swing the other way, so they're not badly positioned for that corner. As we go back to the front group, 1.5, is Wouter going to make his move? I think Wouter will be the one to make the move. Could this be it, or is Alistair McAlpine? Alistair McAlpine sitting on his wheel. He's watching what Wouter Claes is doing. I think he knows what's coming. These guys have been in these races a long time. As they swing around another bend and another one. Not really bothering too much about the lane changes on the steering there. I think everybody's just looking for power, and it looks like Wouter might be going for it. But sorry, not Rob. Jan van Oudenhout and Alistair McAlpine are watching every move. James Melville might be the victim of that, but he's got the strength to get up. He's going to catch Jan van Oudenhout. Are we back to 4, or is this 2 groups of 2? We can see the Flamme Rouge, and I think Alistair McAlpine, who probably really deserves a win in this series because he keeps coming in the top 3. He probably really deserves a win, but it's between him and Wouter now. 900 metres, I would suggest. Can Jan do anything? Jan is making up a little bit of ground, but is there enough time left? 800 metres, maybe not. It starts to stretch. The guys on the front are putting on the pressure. It looks like Alistair's going first. Wouter sitting on his wheel, though, and Wouter will choose his moment, I suspect. As we look ahead, we can't quite see what's going on. There we are. It's Wouter on the front at the moment now, and now it's Alistair. 450 metres to go, and it's not clear who's got the legs out of these two, but Wouter Claes is probably getting a little bit of draft, just sitting there. And 49 kph at the moment, so they are motoring, and you can. It looks very relaxed to me sitting there, but those guys must be absolutely sweating. And there goes Wouter. He makes his move. Does Alistair respond or not? He's not going to. I think he was probably on the edge and probably sort of thought, if I get away, that second will do. Wouter does what he does so often. Takes a classic win. James Melville, it's the 3rd race running that Glasgow United have finished 2nd and 3rd on the podium. It must be quite frustrating. Jan van Oudenhout staying in touch over that 4th place. Rob Miller taking 5th ahead of Jurgen van Beurs and Johan Olofsson. Stevie Cooper, you see there, just ahead of Jep Snever. And I think Stevie's going to go for it, and Jep is going to let him get away and take the extra point. Craig Jones now 350 metres behind as yet crosses the line for the R3R team at the Dane. Carl Dickerson is next up. He's got 250 metres to go. He's got a few behind him, 15 to 20 metres behind. I mean, whether or not anybody's going to make a move and try and close that down, probably too close to the finishing line now. So I think Cole's fairly safe. Even looks like Ingmar van Berg went for it there because he closed the gap a little bit. But Ingmar just making sure that he beats Craig Jones and is ahead of Daniel Messart next. 15th is Stuart Thorne. Fantastic result. And actually, this might mean that if Stuart's put in a supreme effort tonight, that I might beat him up a mountain in the Alps this weekend. If that ever happens. It's never going to happen. I'm never going to beat Stuart up a mountain. Don't burn yourself out, mate. You got 15th place. Well done, Stuart. Yngve Holton is next at 16th, 50 metres to go, and comes across the line, the Norwegian, ahead of Gautam Thaskar, who is also going to the Alps with us. Matt Feely, an old Wahoo RGT friend, beats Tom Alsop, another one of our old friends from many years back when we first started this. So it's great to have some faces like that back in the race. Grant Webb looking to get 20th place. And he's well ahead of Walker, so there's no risk there as he comes in for the Sands team. Walker next with the Scottish Saltar, 21st, and there's a song about that, isn't it? 21 today. He's going to comfortably come home in 24 minutes, which is not bad. I mean, I suppose it's downhill, but I think I would take doing 10 miles in 24. Actually, he wasn't that far ahead of the next group, was he? Marcin Lafitte. Next. So, Top Jimmy and Eileen Davison in the West London kits with Santos, who was, first of all, somebody who I was riding alongside last night in Chase the Yellow and ended up being a target that I never quite reached in the chase to get back. He's obviously got some legs left over because he's given it some, and he's going to beat Top Jimmy, isn't he? Eileen comes in to be the first lady home and will take 100 points in the ladies' competition. She's beaten Brett Smith, also West London, who's Rob Gilmore there. I think Rob Gilmore was possibly in Chase the Yellow last night as well. Seems to be a name I saw on there. Maybe that's why he's letting Brett do the sprint. Anyway, so Carcele is 29th. He's ahead of Edgar, who I'm pretty sure was in Chase the Yellow last night, and he's got 400 metres to go before he reaches the finishing line. Ahead of Rick van der Lane, Harry Smith, Serrano, and Maria Vitsky. Just having a look at how many times have we seen Wouter do this. Just gets out of the saddle, pushes that extra bit. I think Alistair is a great rider, but I think the other guy's just got that little bit of a better sprint. But where Alistair's smart, he learns to stay in there and consistently gets the points. And he's got a couple more points, of course, over Jan van Oudenhoorn. So he extends his lead, not by a lot, but I think he's one of those, classy sort of, ridey sort of, smart, cunning GC type riders. Darren coming in next at 31st position, takes the applause of the Avatar crowd and keeps riding by the looks of it. It's no, sorry, that's Van der Laan, isn't it? It's Rick van der Laan we've gone over to now. So Rick van der Laan from the Netherlands is ahead of Harry Smits from the Netherlands. I think they used to know each other because they, keep finishing quite close to each other all the time, don't they? I wonder if they got the same kit. Well, no, they haven't, have they? Harry Smits is red and black, and Rick van der Laan's is sort of a little bit more sort of crimson-y sort of thing, isn't it? Anyway, Rick can now see the finishing line as he passes the little marker on the side of the road that says 150 metres to go. There'll be another one at 100. There it is. And then you get the barriers and the Avatar crowd to clap you over the line. So, I think Stuart Thorne's very pleased with himself. He's certainly putting stuff out on our WhatsApp group at the moment. Harry Smits, the wonderful Harry Smits from the Netherlands, is a bit of a star. Certainly on social media. He appears in pretty much all of these races, and we're so glad to have him along. If you're listening, Harry, give us a wave. maybe not then. It's no good waving if you listen afterwards. Serrano from Portugal will be next, and it looks like Common Fung never got back on, so we are back down to 37 finishers. I think Serrano at 34, the Portuguese Serrano coming in next. So looking at the results up there, Wouter Kleijs, as we know, Alistair McAlpine second, James Melville third, Jan van Oudenarde fourth, Rob Miller leading the next group in for fifth place ahead of Jurgen van Beurs, Johan Olossi settling for seventh place. Stevie Cooper and Jep Snever were next up. Rivitsky coming over the line just behind Miguel Canada there as they round off the race. One more to come in. Carcele at 32nd. He's got 37th. Sorry, he's got 1.24 kilometres to go. So we'll just run through the rest of the results. So Stevie Cooper coming in at 8th ahead of Jep Snever. Carl Dickerson from the South Africa New Zealand team at 10th. King Tubby out in the front, but we think King Tubby was a team player there because he seemed to sort of let up and let other people go. I don't know, but my guess is I got the impression King Tubby just was there for the team for R3R. Ingmar van Beurs, so unlucky last night with the dropout in Chase the Yellow, finishing 12th. Craig Jones 13th from Wales. Iramia Daniel 14th, ahead of Stuart Thorne, who's very pleased with himself, as I was saying earlier, because I can see he's flashing up messages on our WhatsApp group. Ingve Holton, the Norwegian, one of our regular riders, made sure that the two West London VR riders were split. We've got Gautam Thacker taking 17th ahead of one of my old friends from this, Matt Feely. Never actually met the guy, of course, but long time racer in these things. As Thomas Alsop was around very much in the early days. At 19th there. Grant Webb taking the next place, and that's 20th, of course. Andrew Walker and Al Marchi taking 21st and 22nd respectively. Thierry Lafitte 23rd. G Santos, I don't know what his first name is, 24th. The guy who, as I say, was very much on my radar last night in Chase Yellow. Top Jimmy James from Uxbridge in 25th. Great result. I see Andy Evans didn't make it, so at least you beat your colleague there, didn't you, Jimmy? Eileen Davidson takes the ladies' points there. I think she might have been the main lady rider today. I thought there were more, actually. Jessica Wright certainly said she was stuck at work and couldn't make it. Brett Smith takes 22nd. Robert Gilmore, 28th. Chime Garcella is 29th. Russ Egger, 30th. Rainy Darren at 31st. And Rick van der Laan, 32nd. And if you can hear little noises, it's because people are sending too many WhatsApp messages. And my machine's picking them all up. Sorry. Rick van der Laan, 32nd. Harry Smith's 33rd. Philippe Serrano, 34th. Miguel Canada, 35th. Maria Vitsky, 36th. She was ahead of a few riders at one time, but appears that the riders, some of the riders dropped out. Carmen Fung definitely did. I'll have to contact Carmen to see what went wrong. I know it was her very first race, and I hope she wasn't too daunted and it didn't go too wrong. And we hope to see her again. Well, we'll see you again. Don't forget, tomorrow night there'll be a broadcast on Chase the Yellow with the wonderful Mark Allard presenting that one, not me. That will be fantastic, Ken. I might be racing in that. I'm sort of rather making up the numbers, if I'm honest, but I'm not there to lead our team. But if you see me racing tomorrow night, I'll be hopefully in there doing a bit of Chase the Yellow action. Don't forget, catch up with that about 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. There are other races in other time zones on Chase the Yellow as well, so you don't have to do the one that's at 7 o'clock UK time. There are different ones for different time zones. And I know a lot of the Australian guys, for example, will do races earlier than that. And I suspect people on the other side of the Atlantic doing the later ones. But the one that's at 7 o'clock, I'm pretty sure is the one that's going to be broadcast. And as I say, it is my intention to be in that, albeit that I think I might also be putting a bike in a bike box to go out to the Alps with Stuart Thorne and Gautam Thacker. We'll see you next time in 2 weeks' time. And Chase the Yellow will be with you regularly before that. See you soon. Bye-bye.